I'd like to call this November the 19th meeting of the Cookeville City Council to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Anderson.
Present.
Councilman Shelton.
Here.
Mayor Salee.
Present.
Vice Mayor Davis.
Present.
Councilman Williams.
Present.
All present.
All right, thank you, Kathy. If we could all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda, Mr. Shipley?
We have no changes. I think we have the poster winners here we want to recognize first, I believe.
All right. Seeing no changes to the agenda, can we have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Seeing none, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carried.
All right. And now, at this time, we have a very special guest with us this evening. And I don't know if, Mr. Harris, if you'd like to come up and tell us.
First of all, let me say I appreciate the council allowing us to come tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to present these children in this poster contest. A little bit about the contest. I gave a packet that's laying in front of you. It includes our resident services activities for the month of December, just for your information. Also, the press release that we used to release the information back in November of these children in this particular specific poster program, and also a copy of the TARA, the State Association's newsletter, that also recognized Ms. Priester and the winners. We're proud of these children. 2 of them are here tonight. I'd like to ask them to stand, or if it's appropriate, come up here. We'd like to introduce them. I'll be glad to answer any questions about the poster contest. A little detail, there were 3 categories in the Tennessee Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials poster contest. It's an annual contest. We had some 15 entries across the state. The entries were a little bit down, but not saying our posters wouldn't have won anyway. We won all 3 categories across the state. There is a 1st grade through 4th, I believe, 5th grade through 8th, and 9th grade through 12th. Miss Helen Priester is, what grade are you in this year? She's a 3rd grader. She won her category in the state association. Joseph won his category, what is 8th, 9th grade? What grade are you in, Joseph? 9th grade. And then Eugenia Sims, who is not able to be here tonight, won the high school category. So we're proud of those. They won the state contest, all 3 categories. The theme was what home means to me. And they also had to provide a narrative with that poster. And we had all of our summer program participants with TNT, and the staff and one of the board members, Janie Dudney, evaluated the posters. Theirs was selected and sent in, and we won the state. Well, it went on a little further. Those state winners are eligible to go to the national level, which is the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. They have the poster contest as well. Helen's poster won the national category. And we're really proud of that. We're certainly proud of Joseph. We're going to try to buy that poster. It will be on sale in Washington, D.C. That's going to be in March at the Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. We already have a representative that's going. I'm not going to be able to be in Washington, D.C., but we intend to buy that poster if it's all possible and bring that back and have it prominently displayed in either maybe somewhere in the City Hall if the council would so choose, or the Housing Authority office, or somewhere. And we'll, of course, be providing Ms. Priester with an authentic copy of her poster. We're also going to be retrieving the other two state posters as well. They won a $50 savings bond from the state. They won Ms. Priester, of course, won a $100 savings bond. I'm not sure yet if they've got those yet, but they are on the way. We're proud of these children. We're proud of this poster contest. We've had entries over the years. TNT, I believe, is in its 14th year now. The poster contest has been going on probably for about 6 years. This is the first time we've ever won, so don't give up. And they had some very good posters, but we're really proud of them. And without any further ado, we'll turn it over to the council.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Harris. Very good. I'd had the opportunity to meet these young folks earlier, about a month or so ago, I guess, and I think the council and I would like to do something special for you as well, and we would like to provide you all with a key to the city. So we'll be getting Mr. Harris some keys and be presenting those to you very shortly. So thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Mayor, could I add one thing to that?
Sure, sure.
I failed to mention this. This is very important. I don't know if I should go back to the podium, but I'll be real short. Her poster will be one of 13 posters on the NARO's calendar. This is the more significant part of this. That calendar, a copy of that calendar will be enshrined in the Library of Congress.
Very good. I was going to ask if
Outstanding.
Wow.
you had mentioned that. Yeah, that's
is
very
cool.
exciting. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all coming this evening. It's always nice to have.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, good. And now we're going to begin our old business portion of our meeting. We've got the item 2. I think she'll catch them out there. Item 2 is consider approval of minutes of council meeting held November the 5th, 2009. I thought they were going in there. We've had a chance to look over those minutes. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have our motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Seeing no discussion, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, thank you. Now the new business. I have several items here. Item 3 is hold a public hearing and consider on first reading ordinance 091019, amending the zoning code pertaining to minimum lot and yard requirements for single-family attached dwellings, townhouses, in zoning districts, allowing condominiums as uses permitted on review. Sponsor, Planning Director, Mr. James Mills.
Mayor and council members, this ordinance would amend the provisions of the RM8 and RM14 zoning districts to revise the minimum lot and yard requirements for single-family attached dwellings, which are also known as townhouses, and would also amend the provisions of the CBD, CL, CG, and UNV districts to allow single-family attached dwellings as permitted uses subject to certain standards. The primary purpose of these amendments is to reduce the encumbrances for the development of townhouses in zoning districts which allow condominiums and apartments. Like many cities, the city of Cookeville has experienced an increase in townhouse and condominium type developments. There are a number of reasons for this increase, primarily including homeowner preferences. A lot of people that want to live in these type facilities now. Single-family attached dwellings are defined in the zoning code as a building divided by a common wall extending from the foundation to the roof and 3 or more attached dwelling units. And here's an illustration. The bottom illustration depicts what we define as a single-family attached dwelling. Condominiums are defined as individual ownership of a unit in a multi-unit structure. So the lower one here is the how a condominium is defined. Generally, in a condominium development, the homeowner owns no land area and owns only the portion of the dwelling inside the exterior walls. In townhouse developments, the homeowner owns the structure and usually some land area. In both cases, there is typically common ownership of some elements, including such things as utility lines, shared walls, and roofs. In many developments, it's impossible to visually discern whether the residents are condominiums or townhouses. I've got some examples of that here in town. By looking at it, you can't tell if it's a townhouse or a condominium. The same here. First was approved as a townhouse development, the second as a condominium development. Townhouses and condominiums are both allowed as permitted uses in the RM8 and RM14 districts, as are apartments. The RM8 district has a minimum lot size requirement of 5,000 square feet, while the RM14 has a requirement of 3,000 square feet. Condominiums are basically treated as apartments, so that the overall density of the site is considered. You don't provide that for each individual unit. There are also lot width requirements that limit the availability of townhouse developments instead of condominium developments. In the RM8s, you have to be 50 feet wide per lot, so each townhouse would have to have a lot 50 feet wide. In the RM8, in the RM14, it's 30. Townhouses are rarely that wide. So the issue is, how can we allow greater flexibility to encourage townhouses as an option for development? Now, developers have also indicated to us the reason for shying away from condominiums to townhouses is a financing issue. We're having difficulty borrowing money to develop for condominiums because banks are wanting to have land go with the property. But again, if you visually look at this, how could you tell? And we've had to approve these as condominium developments instead of townhouses. We'd like to be able to have the flexibility to approve them as townhouses. To do this, we're recommending some amendments to the RM14 and RM8 districts. And basically what it would require is that a site plan be submitted to the Planning Commission. And we would basically be treating these as a mini PRD where we'd actually have a site plan to review. And then the Planning Commission could waive requirements for lot width and overall density. So for example, if you had a lot of, in the RM8, which is 5,000 square feet, and you had a 20,000 square foot lot, you could only put 4 units, but each lot does not have to add up to 5,000 square feet. But your overall density cannot be exceeded. So you'd have a large area, potentially with one lot might be 13,000, and the other lots may be 3,000 or 4,000, totaling 20,000. And you could also have common area as a part of that. That's still an option. You'd have to have at least 3 units to be able to do that. And when you have an overall development where you do private streets within that development, the Planning Commission will have the option of reducing the setback requirements. And also architectural standards would apply for any of these types of developments. So the same standards we have for apartments would apply for these. In addition to changing the RM8 and RM14, we'd also recommend changing the UNV, CBD, and CL districts in which condominiums are allowed, but townhouses are not. But we would amend it to allow townhouses in those districts, subject to meeting the same requirements that are proposed for RM8 and RM14. These amendments have been approved by the Planning Commission, are recommended by the Planning Department. If you've got any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion by the council?
And you're saying that you're not having any negative feedback from this?
No, we've had all we've had is positive. The basic issue is here, based on our current regulations, it's very difficult to do townhouse developments, and that appears to be what is desired currently, and not only here but nationwide. We allow condominiums, which you can only cut off around the building, but in a townhouse you actually get a lot that goes with this. This wouldn't change the density. You still can only limit to the same number, but it gives the Planning Commission flexibility to allow a smaller lot for each individual unit, but not for the overall development. And the goal here is to try to increase the flexibility so we can allow townhouses or encourage townhouses. The other thing about townhouses versus, for example, apartments, which you can have the same density of apartments, the townhouses are typically owner-occupied. And the Planning Commission is of the opinion, the Planning Department too, that this would help to encourage ownership instead of rental properties.
Okay.
You're saying by definition, a townhouse has some area of of green or grass and condos don't? Is that what you said?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, define, what
Well, let me go back to the illustration. It's the best way to see. Typically, in a condominium, the lower one, all you buy is what's inside the wall. Everything else around it, there's still green area, but it's in common. Everybody owns it in common. In a townhouse development, you actually own the building plus some yard, some land area outside that. Now, it could still be, sometimes these animals are mixed together in terms of what people call them, but it could be, this could still have common ownership of elements. For example, if something like this was going to happen, now this is showing each lot the same size. You could actually have where one of the in-lots here might have a large area here of green area. That could still be common ownership, but to not increase the overall density, this lot could be 10,000 or it could be a common ownership lot. But you'd still have individual parcels instead of just individual structures that you own.
And this does not include duplexes or anything like that?
No, this only applies to the single-family. Townhouses are defined as at least 3 units that are attached. This shows 4, but you must have 3. I don't know if I've got... The top there is a duplex or a 2-family. It doesn't apply for it.
Okay.
And I think as a Planning Commission representative, what we're looking for here is a way for us to kind of deal with the issue that is financing. Because of the financing constraints, this allows people to own real estate, which is very difficult to own a condo if you're a bank and not own the real estate underneath it. So there's a little bit there. But we also think it is, the main thing James was reiterate what he was saying, is we feel like it's going to stimulate more ownership of residences and because people are going to be able to purchase these type of homes. And so as real estate values go up and these densities required, it allows more people or more single-family residences to...
Now, I think that's important to note. This change applies only to the zones in which apartments are allowed.
Okay.
So this gives them an option, instead of maybe building more apartments, to build townhouses. The same density, but that, like I said, the developers have told us about problems they're having about getting financing, and then our requirements for the 50-foot wide lots for each one is making it very difficult for them to be able to develop this type of development.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Any further comments from the council? Seeing none, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Item 4, consider on first reading ordinance 091120, amending Title 5, Chapter 3 of the Municipal Code relative to the Business Tax Act. Sponsor, Ms. Kathy McLean.
Yes, Mayor and Council, tax rate remained unchanged, increases the registration fee from $5 to $7. Under the 2009 amendments, business tax returns will be filed and taxes will be paid to the Department of Revenue, and rather than to the city or the county. And businesses will continue to obtain the original license from the city or county. And I recommend approval.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have our motion and second. Any discussion about the council?
This doesn't raise taxes, it merely changes the way that it's collected, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. The only thing it's raising is the registration fee from $5 to $7. But, I mean, we're no longer going to be collecting the taxes here. They have to pay it directly to the state. So I would say that people will have a harder time not paying their business tax if it has to go to the state.
Is it going to be like a big delay, you think, in get it back from the state? Or
It's supposed to be monthly.
Yeah, it'll probably come in about like the sales tax does.
With the
I mean,
sales.
it comes in every month, about the 12th or 13th of the month.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the audience? Further comments from the council? Seeing none, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. Item 5, consider approval of property acquisition for the Cookeville Regional Medical Center located at 604 North Cedar. Sponsor, Mr. Paul Korth.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Here tonight to ask request to purchase a piece of property that our board at the hospital approved at its last board meeting. As you mentioned, the property is located on 604 North Cedar, which is on the map here on the corner of Cedar and 6th Street, right across the street from the main hospital campus. Property is within the medical district and will be used for support staff offices along with additional parking for physician offices and practices that are close by there. Again, the board is requesting this be approved, and I'm be glad to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Korth. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no further comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Council.
Korth.
Thank you.
Item 6, consider approval of amendment to the SWORD agreement, the Water Quality Control Department, sponsor Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and council, our department's in need of a water line easement. And, hey, Jim, why don't you go ahead and flip to the next? That gives you an idea where the property is. Across property owned by Patricia Sword and Charlie Sword. This is the same property that was referenced in a 2002 agreement between the city of Cookeville, Deborah O'Neill, and Charlie Sword. The Swords have indicated they would grant the water line easement in return for removal of a condition contained in that original agreement. That condition states, in the event the city upgrades the pump station, which serves the landowner's property, the landowner agrees to be responsible for the costs and expenses of the city for the upgrade of the pump station in an amount of not to exceed $20,000. This specific condition was placed in the agreement because the ultimate impact upon the sewer pumping station, which serves the Sword property, was unknown at the time. The thinking at the time was that if the city was required to upgrade the pumping station due to the addition of the development, then Sword and / O'Neill would pay the city of Cookeville $20,000 towards those upgrades. 7 years have passed and the property has been fully developed. During those 7 years, we have not observed any negative impacts to the sewer pumping station that can be attributed to the Sword development. In fact, the property beside it is getting developed into a subdivision and will be tied onto that same pumping station. So it'd be, we're bringing it to you for consideration, changing that agreement for exchange for a easement that we're going to need to serve that development, that eventual development, and to serve. We have the rights from the utility district to serve all that property. And the hatched area at the top you see there is the area that we need the easement will be obtained.
Okay. Very good. Do we have a motion and a second to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Item 7, consider approval of the final balance change order on the Booger Swamp Sewer contract. Sponsor Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
It's a shame that Bernie's not here to, because it seems like every time we talk about Booger Swamp, Bernie's here and he gets a kick out of it. Paul can take that back to him. But, we're here to present a final balance and change order on a project that we're finally getting completed. The original contract was awarded to Pipeline Innovations. Council approved the change order of an additional $35,000. While the contractor was performing this additional work, we had a problem arise down from the Kmart Barron Circle area all the way up to Jackson in an 18-inch pipe. We asked the contractor to come down. We couldn't do it with our equipment. It was surcharged. It was during some big heavy rains. And so we asked him to come down if he would look at that during his unit prices. He came down. There is some problems. We're going to have to address those problems at a later date, but we were able to get it to a point that it's functioning now. And this will bring the final balance of the contract to $90,820.40, and we'd recommend your approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Do we have a motion second to approve?
Move approval. Second.
I have the motion second. Any discussion by council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Item 8, consider approval of engineering contract for the Bell Acre Sewer Basin. Sponsor Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and council, we're seeking authorization to enter into an engineering contract with Gresham Smith and Partners to evaluate the condition of the sanitary sewer lines within the Bell Acres drainage basin. Jim, go ahead and flip to the next. The evaluation is necessary to do to prior flow monitor we've done in that basin. That shows that we have excessive flows into the sewer system, which then can overload that pump station during times of heavy rain. The project will consist of smoke testing, Physical survey, closed-circuit television inspection. Field engineers will be on hand during these inspections. An engineer will then evaluate the TV recordings and the physical survey results. They'll summarize the findings into a report and present those to us. The contract is set up on an hourly basis and will not exceed the amount of $76,736 with reimbursable expenses not to exceed $1,000. That basin is highlighted there, which takes into pretty much the whole Bell Acres hillside subdivision. I can't think of some of the other areas, but we have with the heavy rains this past year, it's shown up. We've got quite a bit of leakage going on in that area.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second to approve? We've got that, don't we? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have our motion and our second.
We're studying the map.
I wasn't looking at you, Councilman Williams. I was
That's okay.
seeing if Kathy
Got the
had. I
stare.
couldn't remember where we were on that. Do we have discussion by the council? It seems like a pretty large.
It's about
Area.
55,000 feet of pipe, and we've estimated probably 30,000 or 30% of that will have to be TV'd.
Now, why is that? And why?
Well, we're getting high flows at the pump station during rains, so you're having leaking
Okay,
groundwater, surface water getting into people's cleanouts. They've mowed over. There's cracks in pipes. We've worked into this basin when Mr. Harris was here a long time ago and done some work in that basin. But this year sort of highlighted a lot of problems you have in sewers and groundwater, and people tie gutters on, and so you've got to go. You'll be back in here in 20 years looking at the same things again. We just sort of work our ways around the city trying to find the leaking pipes, like we did in Tennessee Tech recently. We've been over there working. Pipes get broken, groundwater gets in, it overloads the pump station, it can't handle it, and it runs out. So we're trying to prevent that from happening.
Okay. Any comments from the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes,
Thank you,
motion
Mr. Kelly.
carries.
Item 9, consider awarding the bid for the West Cemetery Road Extension Project. Public Works Department, sponsor Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, we opened bids for this project Monday. Highways Incorporated was the low bidder, submitting a bid at $1,048,555. On one of the line items, we were, on some of the steep slopes, we were trying to come up with a different ground cover to have just something different, a no maintenance thing, a low maintenance. What we came up with, we thought we would be able to be seeded, but what it really has, you're going to have to put out individual plants. So we thought we should take that out, but we didn't discover that till the day before the bid, so it was too late to take it out of the bid. So what we propose doing is deleting that item from the contract and either using the existing seating item we already have or coming up with something else and adding it later when we determine what that would be. If we do add something, I would think $5,000 would be the most it would add to it. So when you take those line items out, Highways Incorporated is still the low bidder at $1,047,915. I would recommend approval of that.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second to approve this bid?
So moved.
Second.
Have our motion second. Any discussion by the council?
I think James Mills had to go, but as a planning commission member, this is one of the roads that was on our comprehensive master plan as it relates to an extension of West Cemetery Road to Jefferson Avenue. So this is not a, even though this is going to be serving a new school, this road is something that we've had on the books since long before the school was ever proposed. So being able to build this road, I think, is going to really give us a better opportunity to serve the south side of the interstate from Willow all the way to Jefferson. So really excited about the opportunity here, and also try to get some of the traffic out of downtown with schools. I think it's a good project for us.
Any thoughts of when maybe the highways can start?
As soon as we acquire a few more parcels of property, we should be ready.
Just a point of clarification, since there was some confusion about the ground cover, and obviously there was a very wide array of bids for that ground cover, from extreme to almost nothing. Would there be a possibility that there was any confusion in that, and it was, I guess my point is there any reason to bid this again without that entirety to see if it came back lower at all? I mean, I was just curious from a bidding process if that's possible. I mean, it just seems like there's such a wide array on that one line item. Possibly could there have been some confusion?
They could have been, but even though we took out everybody's, they were still the low bidder. But we talked to Mr. Rayner concerning that too, and I think he was on the opinion that we could do this, just take the one item out and it'd still be a legal bid. I don't know if we would get a lower price or not.
Would it be illegal to throw it out and rebid it again without it? I'm just asking.
You always have the option to reject all bids and rebid the project. That's always an option.
Are we under a time crunch?
Yes.
And it would take how long to rebid it?
Well, depending on if you just change that one item, I wouldn't, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but, we have to get this road done by the time school opens up next fall.
I mean, I'm not dead set either way. I'm just asking, what's the opinion of the rest of the council? Was there any need for that, or you think not?
Well, I think, I guess, as it relates to bid forms, whenever you have a breakdown of the bid, the form in of itself normally stands for itself. It's perceived as like an alternate or no.
Okay.
If you go down the whole list of unit prices, you'll have these variances on other items as well. It's just sometimes they put some other things. They might put some kind of mobilization in one item. It's just where they put how they want to get their money. So.
Okay. All right. Good comments. Any further discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no further comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Item 10, consider awarding the bid for transformers for the electric department. Sponsor, Mr. Tony Peak.
Mayor and council, we have opened and evaluated bids on some pad-mounted transformers. I'd recommend or ask your approval for Deco Supply as the low evaluated bidder meeting specifications.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peak. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have the motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no comments, I'll vote.
Thank you.
5 yes
thank you,
votes,
Mr.
motion
Peak.
carries.
This time we have our hearing of citizens and/or delegations, and we invite you to come to our council meetings and speak for up to 3 minutes. We'd be happy to hear from you, so please come and join us. Any comments from the council? Any announcements?
Just like to wish everybody, and all of our employees and our citizens, a happy Thanksgiving next week, and be careful traveling to visit your families. And it's a great time to spend with family, and we're excited that the Williams family, we're excited to go and spend some time with some family out of town, so everybody be careful.
Very good.
I second that everybody have a great Thanksgiving. And when you're visiting your out-of-town family, remember to bring your money back here and spend it in the city of Cookeville.
All right.
And bring your family back with you, too.
Yeah, right. Oh, wait, give them gift certificates and stores just here in Cookeville. There you go.
One thing, Mayor, I just happened to think, I've had a couple of citizens ask about leaf pickup because, and I'm sure Mr. Brown is so tired of hearing it, but I understand that the citizens are not to call about leaf pickup, that you're just trying to make it around the city. That's correct?
That's correct.
As fast as you can, and I know it's very hard. And
We're working overtime every day, and we're working Saturday, so try to catch up.
oh, okay. I hope the people watching or hearing this that are going to be working on Saturday, so that gives you another day to get them ready.
Did we get our new truck in for didn't we order a new truck, a limb brush truck?
We have not got it in. We did get the new side load garbage truck in this week, though.
Okay, good. Very good.
What about our water truck, we got it too?
We had already bought that from City of Maryville.
Right.
And it's up and running.
It's up and running. What about our new fire truck?
We've adding some compartmentation inside the compartments. Various shifts have been evaluating, trying to maximize the space in the truck. So as we add additional equipment in the future, we're not
So it's not in service yet?
We have it available to use if we need it. A lot of the department is fairly laying loose, which puts them at hazard if they're using it every day. And rather than making it look like a cheese board by mounting something and turn around and move it because they decide to put a shelf in, each shift was tasked with finding the most efficient way to mount it, which gave them the maximum use of the truck in the future.
Very good. Look forward to seeing that thing online. Any other comments from the council? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Right.